I'm going to go ahead and get started. We've got everybody sitting down and so forth. I'm Harry Watt with the Iredell County Historical Society. Our group, the current group, has been around just a couple years. There's been multiple versions of the Iredell County Historical Society. What we're doing tonight is what we call the road show. It's where we have some kind of an event open to the public, and we try to do something that we think would gather a lot of interest, and we are tonight with Turner Manufacturing here in Statesville, and you'll hear the whole story. We're starting here at 7, we're going to end at 8:30. We'll have another half hour for visiting. If you have any questions to the speaker, be sure to do it very loudly, and with any speakers, repeat any questions so everybody can hear. A few things here, where the bathrooms are behind the screen here in the hallway. Exits are out this door, then to the left, or out the double doors to the back if we have any kind of emergency or anything. If you got your cell phones, please put them on mute. That way we don't have any stray rings coming through. Would like to introduce Nancy Keith. She is the director from the Iredell County Extension Department, and she has a few things she would like to say.
Well, good evening. My name is Nancy Keith, and I'm the Director of Cooperative Extension here in Iredell County. I've been here in this position since 2012, and we would like to welcome you to the Iredell County Agricultural Resources Center. In Extension, we are a extension of North Carolina State University and North Carolina A&T University. So we work with people, families, youth and development, agriculture. Agriculture being the #1 industry in Iredell County, as well as #1 industry in North Carolina. And we appreciate all of you coming out tonight for the presentation of what was established right here in Iredell County in Statesville, and to see what the presenters have to say. So again, welcome. And if you've got any questions for me, I'll be here all evening, and I'll be glad to see if I can answer them.
Thank you very much, Nancy. We really appreciate your support in helping us host this event here at what is really one of the better ag centers in the whole state. What we have now is a 20-minute slideshow that was put together by Joel Reese. He's our historian at the Iredell County Library. He's also assisted by Mike Trivet, and together they're going to give us a slideshow about Turner Manufacturing.
Y'all know what the term practical engineer is? That's someone that doesn't have a degree but knows how to do engineering. And that's really where Turner Manufacturing starts. The Turner family begins with Benjamin C. Turner, and he is in the Civil War, serving in the 53rd Regiment from Forsyth County. And he invents and gets a patent for a sugarcane evaporator machine. And the machine is to be used for making molasses. So he is an engineer, but he is also someone that likes to work with machines a lot. And he raises his son, William Elias Turner, the same way. And William is the one who relocates to Iredell County about 1889 with a young son named W.C. Turner, who is going to start Turner Manufacturing. You see, or C.H. Turner, you see Charles H. Horatio Turner there on the right, and his father, William Elias Turner, there on the left. In 1898, William Elias is running a machine shop here in Statesville. That same year, his son is a member of the Iredell Blues, serving in the Spanish-American War. Here you see in 1899, you can see W.E. Turner is advertising. He's now an agent representing the Johnson Bonnie Bailers. And he's running a machine shop. He's also repairing. A lot of what he does is boiler work. Before you had the kerosene tractor, the gas tractor, you had to have something to pull farm equipment. And basically that was a steam boiler, a steam boiler that was used to, so basically it was sort of a boiler on wheels. And that was used to pull farm equipment. Here you see W.E. Turner is representing, he's now a rep for the Frick Company's equipment. That's a portable circular saw mill that you see there. And he's advertising in Statesville, North Carolina. His son, after he came back, after Charles Turner came back from the Spanish-American War, went to work for J.C. Steele's company here in Statesville. He learned how to be a machinist from his father, who learned from his father. He said he also learned a lot from J.C. Steele, from that company. And when he decided to start his own machine shop, the veterans that served with him in the war invested with him to help him get started. And again, that's talking about the Turner sugarcane evaporators. That's one of the main machines that they were selling. This is 1908 in the Landmark. This is showing the machine shop after he's relocated. He's down near the depot, near the railroad tracks in Statesville. This was made by a man named Tobias Ellis, who was from Alexander County. He was a professional photographer. In 1914, the Statesville had an early form of a Chamber of Commerce called the Commercial Club. And they put out 2 books and that featured a lot of photographs about Statesville and Iredell County. Ellis did the photography for him. He took the photographs. And so this photograph is around 1914. Now 1905 is when Turner Manufacturing cited that date as the beginning of Turner Manufacturing. So when their equipment would come out for years, it would have 1905 on it somewhere, saying that was when it first began. And that's when Turner started his machine shop. This is later. In 1919, Charles Turner will get a patent for a sawmill, what he calls a pony sawmill. So he's building, rebuilding, and inventing machinery. This is a grain thrasher, and it's 1927, and this is being sold to Russia. And he actually has an international market by now. He's selling to 5 foreign countries, and of course in the United States. He is, in 1917, Henry Ford came out with a line of tractors called the Fordson tractors. And Charles Turner began making machinery to go with that tractor. So he was making the farm equipment that tractor would pull. And you can see here again, well, this is a later slide, but what happens is in 1928, Henry Ford stops making the Fordson tractor. So here is poor Charles Turner with his entire plant set up to make equipment to go with a Fordson tractor, and now they're not going to make it anymore. That same year, his father, W.E. Turner, passes away. Then in 1929, the following year, October 24th, 1929, is the stock market crash and the Great Depression begins. So by 1930, he is forced into what is called a receivership. Back then, it's sort of like Chapter 11 bankruptcy now. He had to seek the court's protection while he reorganized his company. And he does that successfully. By 1934, the paper is talking about how he is, that the company is once again going full throttle and doing well. In 1930, he was employing up to 165 people in Statesville in his plants, and that's a lot of people, a lot of workers even for a plant today. This is from 1941, and this shows a listing of his the equipment that he's selling and also the prices that he's selling. Charles Turner dies in 1941 at Fletcher, North Carolina, at a sanitarium. He had developed a bad heart, and he passes away when he's 65 years old. And right before he passed away, really in 1940, Turner Manufacturing was talked about in Business Week magazine. So they had become a nationwide known company. Here you see an outside of the plant, and you can see the men saying, the factory workers are there talking about that they are now turned out the 610th Turner 3-cylinder peanut picker. So, of course, Turner didn't have any heirs, so the company after 1941 falls out of the Turner family name. It's no longer owned by Turners. At this point, Jack M. Wagner has now running the company by 1946. Here again, you see Turner employees in 1946 outside the plant. This is a photograph again from the late 40s. I believe this was a Max Tharp photograph. Max was a professional photographer, commercial photographer, and a newspaper photographer. And you can see all the, I believe those are peanut pickers that are outside the plant. And that's another picture of the plant there. The plant was put on Y Street, which is down near where the depot is. There you see a tractor thresher from 1946. And then here in 48, Turner is building an additional plant on Salisbury Road. So the company is doing very well. Then in 1952, this was an ad that I thought was interesting. In the ad, they're advising people to utilize the services of the Agricultural Center by telling them that they can be of great help to farmers in this area. The other one was the Imperial Knife Company. The Imperial Company made the blades and sharpened the blades. The handle and all the rest of the bayonet was made by Turner. And they made and sent out thousands of these. You can see they manufactured 298,691 bayonets for the United States military. In 1955, they have a foundry that C.S. Turner had also created. And in 1926, he had incorporated his company into a corporation, combining the foundry with Turner Manufacturing. So it was all one company. But here in 55, we're selling the foundry to Bell Foundries. And this is showing Bell Foundries after they took over the foundry advertising in 55. But in 55, Jack Wagner leaves the company and goes to take over another company, the Tri-State Distributor Incorporation. And then the company goes through a reorganization again. Turner A. Duncan is the president at this time. And they're pretty confident, and this is really interesting to those of us that's been researching it, because they're going really strong in 1955. They buy Earthmaster tractor that's manufactured in Los Angeles, California. They're moving ahead. They're bringing the tractors to Statesville. Here you see Earthmaster tractors being brought to Statesville in December of 55. This is a picture of the Turner ball and roller bearing pony sawmill. Remember I said that he got a patent for that in 1919. And here you see another of their equipment, piece of equipment that they're selling. And this is an Earthmaster tractor. they looked at their market as basically the small farm, small acreage farm, and the people that did a lot of yard work that would need a tractor. It wasn't, it was designed to be a smaller tractor for a smaller acreage farm. And there were some beautiful Earthmaster tractors just right outside. Then the company decides to hold a parade in 1955 around December. Of course, that's when they do the Christmas parade and the town's decorated. And they decided to do a parade of their farm equipment in downtown Statesville. And here they are with some of their equipment. Well, I believe this photograph is showing the equipment kind of lined up for the parade before it starts. And here you see they used employees to run the floats or to run the equipment and drive it through the center of Statesville. Here you see an Earthmaster tractor being driven. I believe is this the one that the gentleman is here tonight? Yeah, that drove that tractor in 1955, and he's here tonight. So it must not have rode too rough. And here is another picture of them. These were taken by Max Tharp for the newspaper here, the Landmark. There you see the bayonets. They were making a lot of things. They were making metal mailboxes at the time. They were making buildings, like storage shed buildings.
We have a bayonet here tonight.
Okay.
David Pope, you got your bayonet?
There's somebody else said there's one already here.
Oh.
I threw mine in the car.
Okay, Michael Tribb's forgot.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. They had a lady named Lillian Head who worked in the bayonet department, and they had made her the Christmas party queen, and so they had her dressed up as a queen to be at the parade for them, and that shows her with the executives. This is some good shots showing inside the plant itself. And you see the assembly line there working on bayonets, the ladies inside the factory. And they're dealing with heavy equipment and machinery. And then there's another change. Turner A. Duncan is the one that's replaced the previous director. And this talks about him being appointed to a research development committee in Washington. But then all of a sudden, the company does a complete turnaround. Something happened between 55 and 56. I mean, at one point they're having a parade downtown showing how great they're doing. And then suddenly in 56, by September, they are basically going out of business. They're switching over to another company has come in and has taken over the company that makes equipment for the railroad industry. This is showing November 1956. And it's talking about the company officers that are in charge. And so it's now owned by Kershaw Manufacturing Company, which deals exclusively with the railroad companies on making equipment to repair trains and railroad tracks. And so they are suddenly just getting out of the agriculture business that they've been in since 1905. And what they were, going well with just a year and a half earlier. And then in 58, Bell Foundries that they tried to sell the Turner Foundry to files lawsuit against them for $30,000. So, and the next thing you see is April 29th, 1958. One of their plants is now being auctioned off. The plant that's on Y Street is auctioned off. The North Carolina Furniture Corporation buys it. So if you're getting sued and now they're auctioning off your materials, something bad has happened all of a sudden. And then in 58, Gordon's Furniture buys the foundry. I mean Gordon's Furniture, I said Gordon's Furniture, but it was Gordon and Sons at that point that were buying it. And then by 1960, they've already sold the foundry, which was on Meeting Street. They sold the plant that was on Y Street near the depot at public auction. Now they're selling what's left, which is the plant they built in 48 in Salisbury, and it's also being sold at an auction. Fletcher Works is a textile company from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. They buy it just so they can have it make machinery to go in textile mills. So now they went from being 50-some years into agricultural machinery development to railroad, and now they're into the textile. And we all know what happened to the textile industry very soon. I mean, it all moves overseas and collapses. So really, Turner Manufacturing is gone by like 58, and is, as we know it, as far as an agricultural company. Now, why that is, at the library, I've had people come to me for years, I mean going back to 2002, and contact me saying, well, we've got a piece of Turner equipment in our farm here, and all we know is it says Turner and it says Statesville. Can you tell me what this is? And so I would tell them who Turner Manufacturing was, and of course there's a lot of people that want to restore that type of equipment. And so I've been researching it off and on for years, and I spoke to a man several years ago that worked at Turner, and he said that what did them in was they hired, now this is his story, he said they hired an engineer in 55, and I do find where they had the company's engineering department was taken over by a new employee, and he said they changed some of the equipment the way it was made, and that the equipment was, they set up a line to make it, they manufactured it, they sold it, and then within like 6 months, all of it was breaking down. And they were getting calls from farmers in Georgia and Alabama and everywhere saying, I just bought this, it's less than 6 months old and it's already tore up. And the plant manager sent a crew down with tools and said, well, go down and fix it. And they came back and said, well, we can't fix it. You're going to have to bring it back in. All of them will have to come back and have to be redone completely. That was his story as to what caused the company basically to collapse at that point. Is there any questions or anything that kind of clear?
Oh, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You've no idea how much of a privilege and honour it is for me to be here. As you can tell by the noise I make, I've come from a long way away. As you've probably been forewarned, I'm a bit of a baler nutter, a bit of an old baler nutter. There's not many of us. Many of you have been involved in being fascinated by or actually getting in and doing the work of restoring tractors and exhibiting them and going oohing and ahhing at various rallies where the tractors are there. You don't see many balers. You've got to look hard. Every so often you see them, and these good people associated with the Historical Society here last night were showing me some pictures of a couple of Turner balers that have been restored over time. So that's very impressive from my point of view. Now, I came to Statesville because one of your most famous manufacturing companies, Turner Manufacturing, made hay balers. They made quite a few of them. They made them from probably about 1925, 1930 to when they finished up in 1957. Now, I don't know exactly when that date of between 1925 and 1930 is. So if any of you know, have any reason to know, get more accurate for that date, I'm very, very pleased to know that. Turner's first balers, of course, like almost everybody's first balers, were hand wire tie machines. They were stationary balers. You know, you took the baler to where the action was and you threw the hay in, and that's how it was done. It's my opinion that the balers that Turner first produced were inspired by the Roanoke balers produced by Harrington Manufacturing up at Lewiston. There are quite a few characteristics that suggest that. As I say, I don't know when Turner built their first baler. I'm very keen to find out, and if any of you good people know anything, I want to know, because I am a baler historian. I am in the process of writing a book about the history of small square balers across the world, and I would like the book to finish up to be as accurate as possible. Now, I realise the search for accuracy means you often don't bother to finish such tasks, because you can never know everything. And the more you learn, the more you realise you don't know. So, you know, the book never gets written. So it will happen when the book is written, that I will feel embarrassed about all the mistakes in it, you know, about a year later or 2 weeks later. But anyway, the more information I can get, the better it is. Now, I was talking about the Turner balers and that they started off with stationary balers. They made about 12 different models. Some of you would have worked on them. You'd have had a hard time if you had to work on the 17 by 20 baler. That's a serious bale. You've got to lift that. That's average 150 pounds. They made 14 by 18 bales, like the little one out on the truck out there, and how fantastic to see that. I congratulate and thank very much the man who brought that here. And their other size was 16 by 18. That's the cross-sectional size of the bale. And one of your great servants in this part of the world, Mr. Sam Hall, he took me to see one of the Turner stationary bales. I'd never seen one before. They never came to Australia. And he took me to Dale Bess's place today. We snuck in there. It was daylight, but we just drove through the gate. He wasn't there. We had a really good look at the excellent old power takeoff Turner stationary baler he has there. It could work. It wouldn't take much effort to have it working again, and if it does get to work again, that'll be absolutely fantastic, because the more of these old machines we get working, the more definitely they're going to be saved, the more certainly people see them in the future and can play with them. You can have them at the show, and they can fork hay in and put the boards in, thread the wires, the bales can come out the back, and you know, it's good stuff. It's, in my mind, better than sitting there going like this, which seems to be the go these days. One thing that Turner did, and one of the reasons that I'm here, is Turner graduated to pickup balers. Not everybody did. There were loads of companies around America, about 300, that were making stationary balers. Some cities had 5 or 6 different companies. But Turner graduated to making pickup balers. They didn't make them for long, but they did make them. I don't know anything about how well they performed. They were not exported to Australia. I've never actually seen one. They finished. The end of the company had nothing to do with their balers, it seems to me, from listening to what your Historical Society people have to say. So obviously it wasn't as if they tried to build pickup balers and it didn't work and killed the company. It doesn't seem to be anything to do with that. But they produced the pickup baler just before they died. In 1957 they stopped making agricultural equipment. My opinion is, and again I don't know the accuracy of this, that the first pickup balers were made by Turner in 1949. Now somebody here might know whether that's right or wrong. and I'd very much like to know what that precise answer is too. Yes, as I said, there were no Turner balers stationary either who came to Australia. I hear the story of Turner sending peanut pickers or harvesters across to Russia. Well, that's a big move. I don't think sending this up to Australia is quite as significant as that. So we probably were unlucky to miss out, but we didn't get any. So all my knowledge about Turner balers is book knowledge. Now, as all you fellas know, and the ladies too, that book knowledge is the least worthwhile knowledge. It's the least significant knowledge. You know, real knowledge is the knowledge you get from working with things, from building things, from fixing things. That's how you know. And unfortunately, I have none of that knowledge about Turner, and I don't have time here this time to get any of that knowledge either. And my search for better knowledge about Turner balers continues. I hope that in the next 24 hours, or we don't have 24 hours here left, we might have 12, but that I do find out something more. I'm interested, of course, in all baler brands, and my search for information on those has taken us on a journey from San Francisco up north to Portland, across to through South Dakota to Racine and to St Paul, up to University of Guelph in Canada, and then down through Washington DC to go to the Smithsonian Library where all their wonderful records there, and here. And it's ongoing. And just earlier in this week, we went to a little town about 400 miles east of here, a town that some of you may know, and you may even know what it's famous for, a town called Lewiston. Now, Lewiston is the home of Harrington Manufacturing, who built the Roanoke brand balers, who I was referring to with the similarity with the Turner stationary balers. They predate the Turner stationary balers. Roanoke were making balers as early as the 19-teens. Anyway, my knowledge about Harrington balers, the Roanoke brand of baler, is book knowledge again. They didn't come to Australia either. They manufactured stationary balers for quite a long time. They moved into pickup balers, and some of you would know the Cockshut Company in Canada. They got Roanoke brand, Harrington Manufacturing, to build balers for them. They made a series of models. And also, those of you who are Prairie Gold fans would know that the T160 Minneapolis Moline baler is in fact a Harrington manufactured baler, which they used to call the Minimo, because all the Roanoke stuff was red, the Cockshut stuff was red and yellow they were making. Here was this shiny little yellow thing. So they all called it Minimo. Only made the one model for them, but they did do that. But what's the relevance of me talking to you about a place 400 miles away? You probably hardly care less, and I don't blame you. Well, in this search for knowledge about balers, I had to go to Harrington Manufacturing and try and answer some questions I didn't know the answers to. And so Maurice, who is our navigator, and she runs the sat-naps thing, I said, well, we don't have a contact anymore there. The man that I was coordinating with to make contacts in Lewiston, he's fallen through the net. You know, what we do? Well, we'll go to the library. We'll go to the Lewiston Library, see what they've got. So Maurice types in Lewiston Library into the computer, into the mobile phone, into the sat-naps app. So we follow then the instructions that it gives us. Go down the highway here for so long, not that far actually, from Tarboro up to Lewiston. Turn left down this street. Turn left down the street, we've gone about, I don't know, 100 metres or so. Well, be careful of that. 100 yards, should I show that? Something like that. Anyway, 100, but some short distance, not a great, football field perhaps. And the little light on on the phone is going beep, 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 we're here. We're here. And we think, well, there's a fire station. All it says fire station. Can't see anything else. There's some boarded over shops and things. So we drive further down the road thinking, well, okay, they just made a slight error. We're out of the boarded over shops very quickly, get down to the end of the road, turn around, come back. Thought, oh well, fire department looks like a reasonable building, looks as though it's still functional. Perhaps there's somebody in there. So park the car, I get out, have a look. Oh, there's a pretty shiny looking clean glass door there with a nice looking shiny glass window beside it. There's somebody could be in there. So knock on the door, come in, go in there, and there's a lady at the desk. And I say who I am, and I'm saying, look, I'm looking for the library. And she smiles at me, and then she laughs. And I thought, oh. I said, yeah, I thought so. I said, you haven't got a library, have you? She said, no, we don't have a library. There's no library in Lewiston. Any of you who know Lewiston know how silly it is to expect to find a library there. So I then say, well, what do you want to go to the library for? And I say, well, I'm doing research, and I'm looking to find out something about Harrington manufacturing. And this woman looks at me and she says, well, I'm the wife of J.J. Monk Harrington, who was the main man in the company. And of course, many of you will know J.J. Monk Harrington. He was a senator, a state senator for 25 years. It might be slightly more. The records on the internet seem to disagree slightly. But anyway, we'd gone all this way. We'd taken a stab in the dark in the fire station, and there was the wife of the late, as it happens, main man in the company. And that turned out to be wonderful for me because we were led down the road to her stepson who knew all the stuff, and it answered a lot of the questions that I needed the answer to. Now I want to tell you a little story about why I'm involved with balers. I can see the man with the bell standing up and he's about to ring me off, which that's his job. I'm sorry about that. But I can tell you, I would like to tell you that so you can protect yourself and your children from this in the future, that I became obsessed with balers when I was a little boy, 2 years old, and the baler contractor came with his Oliver No. 8 baler to bale our hay in northwestern Tasmania, just south of the main part of Australia. And with a very heavy crop, we have rich farmland there. And the baler was going very slow, so a waddling little 2-year-old could keep up with it. And if any of you work with those old engine function balers, with the Wisconsin engines of them, you will know about that when the governor kicks in and you've got that noise. Well, I can make that noise so easy because I did that so much. And I look forward to the baler each year, which grew into pocket money work for me over the later years of my life as a young man, a young boy. And then, of course, I did the silly thing to go off to university and do other things. But the benefit was I didn't exhaust my appreciation of balers, so I came back to it as an old man. So, and there we are. Thank you very much. It's been really great to talk to you. I really appreciate all the stuff you've done.
Thank you very much, Murray, and you did get the award for the furthest one that came away. We have several others. Where's Martin McGann? Martin, come up and say a few words here. We don't have a lot of time, but please enlighten us with your knowledge of Turner Manufacturing.
Good evening. Well, the Earthmaster started out in Burbank, California. Airco actually designed and developed it. Dale Hydraulics took over in 46, and Transamerica was their backers. And they produced them to 49. They didn't have enough return on investment, so they pulled the plug. And company in Pennsylvania got an SL Allen company, and they also produced the Planet Junior line of tillage tools, and they never produced any, and Turner Machine acquired them in 55, and started production in '56 in February. And there was approximately 3,000 built in California, and they're real iffy about it, and the best anybody's records can come up with, we produced 53 here in Statesville. And I've acquired 5 of the 53 that were built in Statesville, and 2 of them have been restored that you've seen outside. And they had, it was a very versatile tractor. They made loaders for them, which is a little bit too much, but the company had 58 different arrangements of tools that you could use. They had a toolbar that had quick attached to the back that you could set up different sets of plows and your cultivators and everything. So it's a very versatile tractor, and a lot of the design is way beyond its time, really. Because like, there's one spring in it on the brakes, and I went to the spring company in Greensboro. They say there is no spring in its existence today that is that small a material, and don't understand how back in the 40s they developed a spring like that, because they cannot even produce that now. But the tractors were produced here till '56, so you only have a short term, and then they went down to Latham Company, and there was a few assembled there, but the main ones were here in Statesville. And that is the best accurate that I can give you on the knowledge of it. There might be some mistakes, but I try to research it and get it all pretty close.
We're very grateful for bringing those 2 machines tonight. We really were entertained outside a lot. Where's Clay Abernathy? Come on up front, Clay. Come on down. We want to hear what you've got to say about Turner Manufacturing. Thank you.
I really don't know much about what I got the Turner Economy portable thrashing machine. I don't know a lot about it. Actually, I bought it about 4 or 5 years ago in Rochester, Indiana, and went and got it. The man I got it from, he had got it out of Kentucky. From the paperwork that we've read and learned, that it actually was manufactured for the Tennessee Valley Agriculture to do some testing and stuff like that. And I think it went on like a road show and all that stuff. It was designed even before, I learned a lot just in the last month since they found out that I had it by Mr. Hull over here. It was designed to hook behind your truck or maybe a tractor or something and just pull it to shock. It was designed for the small farmer, and I've learned to just, even today, I learned that one of the gentlemen who worked there said that they had a bushel bucket that they put under it and caught it, and they just keep switching the buckets to find out how many bushels that they thrash out of it a day. I'm trying to, ever since all this has been going on, we've been going to try to get it fixed up. Now we know what size the engine is supposed to have, and it's supposed to have like no more than a 7-horse Wisconsin. Hopefully in a year or so we got it going, and it's been sitting in my shed since I brought it home. And like I said, I don't know a lot about it, but I do know that it was, the man I bought it from had never seen one. I had never seen one until Mr. Hall here showed me the gentleman at Tri-County Distributors has got one sitting in a building over there. And that's about all I know about it. And I don't even know, nobody really knows the dates that they were manufactured. And but like I said, if anybody does know the dates that they manufactured, I'd like to know it.
We're really grateful for bringing equipment to us, and we have Jeffrey Cornazzer. Where's he at, Jeffrey? Come up front, please. As you could guess, if you're doing the countdown, this must be the man with the baler, right?
I got it.
There you go. I'm tickled to see the baler. Tell us about it, please.
I can't tell you anything about the baler. I'm here for help. I've never seen one work. I don't know anything. I just got in touch with Mr. Hall and he was hunting some Turner equipment. I've got a piece, so I'm looking for help. That's all I
Well, a man of few words, but anybody that's got a Turner piece of equipment is welcome here. We'd like to move forward now. Sam Hall's going to step up and talk to us a few things, and he's going to carry us most of the way to the end of our program here. But come on up, Sam, please.
Mike, come on.
First off, wait, let me just, you come up here to speak. Sam has been the bulldog for this. When it kind of got started with Murray asking with Steve Hill and then the library, and it got in Sam's hand, and he has really worked overtime for this. So we have to have a lot of appreciation for Sam.
You still aren't getting a raise. Anybody wondering why that's on the screen? Joel, click the next one right quick, please. Now, back, when we were younger, we heard our grandparents talk about how great the crops were. When we were younger, we heard the older generations talk about how big their crops were, and they bragged on it. Well, there's no explanation for that picture. But Mike Tribbitt and I were in Catawba County working on this Turner project, and we were shown that picture. Nobody knows what's going on. And look at the poor little pig sitting in the wagon back there, and it's way bigger than the horse. Now, you never go far enough away from home without running into somebody that you know. And up walks Harry Gibson. Where are you? I know you're here tonight.
He went home.
He did. Well, I'm gonna tell this on him anyway. Harry walks up, and I show him that picture, and I said, Harry, did you ever grow corn like that? Yep, sure did. I said, did you cut it on the wood saw like that? Nope. When we needed fresh corn, we laid it on the carriage of the sawmill and run some off. That's my lying joke for the night, but Harry did say that. All right. Mike Tribbitt, Smithsonian. He has a surprise for you.
In all of our research, or in my research anyway, every time I had time, I would pull out, I've left my phone over there, and start Googling whatever. Well, if you've done any historical research work or whatever, you got to know, I'm a genealogist, so you got to know how many different ways to spell a name or whatever. I misspelled Baylor. You can spell it B-A-I or B-A-E, and I put an O-R, a E-R, whatever. Somehow I wound up in the Smithsonian. And the Smithsonian has 17 pieces of information in their files up there from Turner Equipment Company. So sometime this winter, me, Sam, somebody is going to go to Washington and take them a copy or at least a scanned disc of what we have. And they said they would be glad, they won't scan it for me, they said, but they'll be glad to let me come in and scan what they have to bring back home and put in our files. So if you're ever in Washington and you want to get not far from home, go over to the Smithsonian, and Iredell County is there.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. What? Well, since you're up here, come on up here, Joel. Mr. Stokes handed me this morning. These are his books created by him. They are on international balers. He requests that they be donated to the Iredell County Library and the Iredell County Genealogical Society. Joel especially will put these on the electronic systems that he knows how to do, and that research information will be available for the world to see. These books will be out here on the table for the rest of the evening. They're most interesting. Thank you, gentlemen. Now, I was gonna touch on some of the false rumors that shut the doors on Turner. One of them I'm going to address. I grew up being told that Turner, in its quest for getting a good nodder on the baler, allegedly stole ideas from New Holland. New Holland sued them and put them down. That is false. Murray can tell you chapter and verse of it. I can't quote it all. The story about the bad shaft and bad equipment is correct. Joe York can tell you chapter and verse. Where's Frank Templeton? He can tell you chapter and verse. A bad design by an incompetent engineer issued a darn near fatal blow on Turner, particularly their peanut pickers. And why they call them pickers, I don't know. To us, they're thrashing machines. Now, Mr. Mark Wagner, if you and Commissioner Houck would come forward. Mark has some most interesting news for you. Donation. 2 machines.
Yep. My dad, you saw his picture, was Jack Wagner, and he was president of Turner Manufacturing until he left in late 54, early 55, and started Tri-State Distributors. And I sold the company about 18 months ago, but I still own the property and building. And I have several Turner machines over there, one being a thrashing machine. It's never been used, and I'm going to donate it to the Iredell County Society, Historical Society, and anything else that I have that relates to Turner Manufacturing. And
we hope that the sites that Sam was able to expose you to today in our county, you can take home and always remember us, and we appreciate our brother in Australia. And is this your wife?
Close enough.
Okay, all right. Welcome also. But again, we just want to say thank you to everyone. Sam asked me to speak. Our county commissioners are going to be forming a committee throughout the county, and we will invite stakeholders like yourselves to come and impact. We're looking for a long-range plan to revamp our fairgrounds area. We hope as part of that facility and investment in the future, we will make a year-round type of a facility that could be used in the state and the county for ag industry and other things. And we hope that part of that would be a museum and historical piece on that property to preserve all historical pieces for Iredell County. But I just wanted to come on behalf of our commissioner tonight and thank you all for what you do, the impacts you make, and we appreciate everyone. Thank you for your contributions and your coming to our great country and state and county. Thank you.
Well, he mentioned blueprints. Joel has told you tonight he gets requests for designs, repairs. I have in the back of the car, thanks to Mark, a box about this big with volumes of blueprints from Turner Manufacturing. I have not unrolled them. I don't know what they are, but they again will be placed at the library with Joel as a fabulous research item. Mark brought something tonight that may be the only item that exists in the world. You heard Joel say that Henry Ford stopped the Fortune tractor in 1928. You want to tell him what that plaque is, or you want me to?
you can tell, where is it? Is it still?
It's out there on the table.
Let me go get it.
Mark has a cast iron plaque made by Turner Manufacturing. It was mounted at some time on a machine made by Turner to fit a Fortune tractor. And it may be the only one in existence. Tell them what it says.
Says, built for Fordson Tractor Manufacturing by C.H. Turner, Statesville, North Carolina.
What does that say down there? I ain't got my glasses.
Number 1088.
Serial number 1088.
I'm not sure what that serial number means, but actually, I didn't get this from my dad, nor did I find it in any of the archives. John Steele was in Michigan 10 or 15 years ago and brought this back and presented this to me because he knew of the history with Turner and my father. So this actually came from John Steele, found it somewhere, and gave it to me, so I have it.
Good. Thank you. Now, Mark has given Iredell County 2 items. One of them being a close to mint condition threshing machine like what's sitting out here on the trailer. The other item, Mark doesn't know what it is, and I'm not ashamed to tell you that I don't know exactly what it is. It's about the size of a 4-person kitchen table. It's made out of wood. 4 men can easily get on each corner, or a man on each corner, pick it up, and we'll eventually carry it out of the warehouse. It does have the Turner logo on it, and it has the one word that we can get to and read says seed. I am assuming, and you know the definition of that it is a seed cleaner or a seed separator. All parts seem to be there with it, unassembled. So hopefully, when we get it assembled, these gentlemen that once worked there maybe can identify it. But Iredell County, with this man's direction right over here, has really taken a step forward to start toward a farm machinery museum. In case some of you don't know this, anybody want to guess what the fairgrounds used to be? Prison camp. Okay, I got a question for you. And I want an honest answer. This is an example of what the Iredell County Historical Society does. Did we do a good job or a bad job? Thank you. If you would like to keep us afloat, there is a donation jar out there because we all are pay as we go out of our own pocket. And we've got some pretty good plans for some things we'd like to do to the benefit of Iredell County. And we're not too proud to ask for a little bit of help. As far as I'm concerned, our official part of the program is over. If there's anyone in the audience has any questions, we'll try to find you an answer. If there's any former employee of Turner would like to come up and tell anything, the floor is yours.
With all this through Denton Farm Park, Sam come down and one of the 2 tractors that are sitting out there next month, Antique Power magazine will be doing a article and pictures of them. I don't know when it will be coming out, so go online and your tractors from Statesville will be in the national magazine now. Thank you. That's good. We're also going to try to bring them over for your Christmas parade. We want to see if we can get them back 60-some years later, rolling back down the same avenue.
Great. Dale Bass, are you here?
My grandfather's Turner baler will be on display. It has been the last several years. Our family donated it to the North Carolina Department of Agriculture before there was an Iredell County, so I don't know if we could ever get it back here or not. But if you're there, the NCDA did a complete restoration on it, and they put it on display at the state fair.
Thank you. That's good. Now, let me add this that I forgot. If you care to donate an ancient piece of farm machinery to Iredell County. They can, if you request a tax deferred receipt for it, you have to state the value, but the finance office of the county can give you a tax statement that will cut your federal income tax.